The judge's gavel fell just as Colin's face drained of color. The forged paper had betrayed him. I didn't flinch. Truth doesn't need volume. My daughter's name on that page was enough to steady my hands, and this was only the beginning of justice. The morning began with the kind of stillness that makes you believe the world hasn't turned yet. I had oatmeal on the stove, a light gospel tune playing low, and the pill organizer open beside me. Savannah mornings cling to the skin, thick air, lazy light, and the sound of a neighbor's sprinkler ticking. When the phone rang, I didn't even look at the number first. The voice on the other end carried that practice calm only hospital staff have. "Miss Monroe, this is Memorial Health. Your daughter, Marielle, is in intensive care." The spoon slipped from my fingers, a hollow sound against tile. For a second, I just stood there, heart refusing to move. "Lord," I whispered. Steady my steps. "Well?" I grabbed what I could. Wallet, Medicare card, charger, keys, and left a note on the counter for Etta next door. The cab arrived in minutes, and I slid into the back seat, hands trembling against my purse. I kept repeating what my mother used to say: when you don't know what's ahead, just walk like you've been there before. The hospital loomed tall and gray under the overcast sky. The automatic doors side open, spilling cold air and coffee smell. Inside, everything hummed. Machines, voices, the soft shuffle of sneakers on wax floors. "I'm Althea Monroe," I said to the young woman at the desk. "My daughter, Marielle Monroe. I was told she's in ICU." I gave her Marielle's birth date, my address, the last 4 digits of my social security number. The girl typed fast, eyes flicking across the monitor. "One moment," she said, her voice caught between duty and discomfort. I noticed the chairs, worn blue vinyl, each with someone waiting for news. A volunteer offered a blanket. I smiled and shook my head. "I'm all right, sweetheart. Just need to see my girl." But the air thickened with waiting. The keyboard clicks became a drumbeat in my chest. When the receptionist returned, she looked sorry before she spoke. "Miss Monroe, you're not listed as an approved visitor on the patient's file." At first, I thought she'd made a mistake. "I'm her mother," I said, steady but sharp. "I raised her right here in this city." She passed me a printed policy sheet, eyes avoiding mine. "It says her emergency contact was updated recently." The words landed like stones. I swallowed, kept my posture straight. "I will not be the angry black mother on your cameras today," I told myself. I asked for the charge nurse. A man in scrubs appeared. Polite, cautious. I showed him pictures. Birthdays, graduations, a vacation to Hilton Head, and the insurance card with my name still printed. He nodded, but said, "We have to go by what's in the system." Time grew heavier. Every tick of the clock was an insult I couldn't protest. Security arrived soon after. All polite professionalism. "Ma'am, we just need you to wait over here." I moved to a side chair, phone recording quietly in my pocket. "I'm not here to make trouble." "Sugar?" I told him. "I'm here to do what any mother would do." He said nothing, but I caught the flicker of sympathy. I began writing down badge numbers, names, lanyard colors. Details matter when the truth tries to hide. Through the glass doors, I looked for Colin Drake Wyatt, Marielle's fiancé. He wasn't there. He'd insisted he'd handled paperwork weeks ago. Brushing off my questions, I remembered his words. "Too many cooks slow things down." The arrogance in that line had a smell, something slick and practiced. I texted him. Message delivered. No reply. My pulse stayed even, but my mind moved fast. Back at the desk, I leaned forward. "Who do I need to talk to?" "Honey, charge nurse, patient relations, administrator on call." I know the latter. The young clerk hesitated, then slipped behind a frosted door. I texted Etta. "At hospital, pray." She answered with a heart emoji, and somehow that tiny symbol steadied me. Then a whisper grazed my ear. "Don't react." A gloved hand slid a visitor sticker toward me, quick and subtle. I didn't turn. The voice came again, barely there. "If you love Marielle, follow my lead. 3 steps, then left." My heart kicked hard once, And I rose, slow. As the desk phone began to ring, I walked, counting each step, the sticker cool against my palm. The voice said, "Hide and trust me." And my feet moved before my fear remembered how to stop them. The voice still echoed in my ear as I moved. 3 quiet steps, a turn left, and suddenly I was in a narrow corridor that smelled of bleach and cold air. The humming of an ice machine filled the silence. My reflection flashed across a metal cart before a woman appeared beside me, moving like she'd rehearsed this. She was slim, brown-skinned, hair in a tight bun, badge turned backward. "Mask up," she whispered, slipping one into my hand. "Keep your eyes down. You're just going to the vending machine." Her tone left no room for questions. I obeyed, tugging the mask over my face, clutching my phone flat in my palm. The voice memo from earlier still rolled, catching every sound. She guided me down the corridor with her body angled just enough to block the camera dome's red blink. "We don't have long," she said. "Call me Zara. I'm not on shift here. You never saw me." My breath steadied, even though my pulse wouldn't. "Why am I hiding from my own child's room?" I murmured. She didn't answer, only said, "Because someone made sure you couldn't walk in there without it looking like trouble." We stopped behind a linen cart near a corner window. Zara leaned in, voice low but precise, like someone used to giving orders without raising them. "There were changes made yesterday. Someone updated visitor access. Your name's gone, replaced with spousal authority. The file routes all updates to him now." My stomach turned to stone. "Colin?" I whispered. "He said he was fixing paperwork." Zara nodded. "He fixed it, all right. I can't break policy, but I can keep you from walking into a setup." The word setup hit like cold water. She adjusted her gloves and said, "I'll distract the clerk. You'll drift to room 214, half open, lights dim. Across the hall is 216, your daughter's room. Don't speak. Don't enter. Just watch. If you see what I think you'll see, keep calm. You'll need proof, not panic." I wanted to grab her sleeve, to demand answers. But instead, I asked the only thing that mattered. "Is my child alive?" Zara's eyes softened. "We're keeping her stable. Let me guard her line. You guard your mind." She peeled away like a shadow, approaching the nurse's station with a stack of charts. I moved toward room 214, pretending to scan a notice board. Inside, the air felt cooler, dimmer. An unused bed, curtain half drawn, machines unplugged. Through the narrow glass slit, I could see 216's doorway. I positioned myself by a monitor's dark screen, using its reflection to watch the hall. My phone camera pointed low, silent. Then he appeared. Colin Drake Wyatt, polished as ever, shirt crisp, shoes whispering confidence. He leaned on the counter like he belonged there, voice just loud enough to carry, "Let's finalize the directive. Marielle wouldn't want heroics." My jaw clenched. The secretary hesitated. Asked for ID, documentation. He handed over a folder, neatly tabbed, of course. I saw Zara slide closer, pretending to review medication lists, her eyes never leaving him. The secretary read aloud. "Do not resuscitate, DNR. Applies to cardiopulmonary arrest unless rescinded." Colin nodded before she finished. "She wanted dignity," he said smoothly. The pen clicked, his signature curving deliberate and fast. I caught each frame with my phone, his hand, the form header, the wall clock behind him. Then came another sheet, already marked with a sticky note, "Advance Directive Update." Prepped in advance, my throat burned, but my mind stayed steady. I whispered into my phone, 7:49 a.m. Colin Wyatt signing DNR and advance directive. My voice cracked only once. I let it. He gathered the papers, thanked the clerk like he'd just closed a business deal. Then, his gaze shifted, just a flicker, but it grazed my hiding place. I turned slightly, pretending to tie my shoe. The camera light blinked red. Zara dropped her clipboard with a loud clatter, and the room snapped toward her. She laughed, said, "New gloves," and bent to pick it up. He turned back to the counter. I checked the photos again, naming each one under my breath. Clock, header, pen, face. I saved them to a hidden folder and switched to airplane mode. No mistakes. I couldn't afford one. When I finally stepped back into the hallway, Zara was there, speaking just loud enough for others to hear. "Mrs. Monroe, can I borrow you to verify a contact?" I followed her voice. Calm and polite, Colin didn't even glance my way. We turned the corner, reached a stairwell door labeled "Staff Only." Zara opened it, and as it shut behind us, her whisper returned, fierce and steady. "You just watched him sign her death," she said. "If you want your daughter to live, the next thing I tell you will feel like a crime." Zara didn't waste time. Her voice was low but calm, as if she were giving instructions in a fire drill. "You request an ethics consult and patient relations review," she said. "That freezes any non-urgent DNR actions." The way she said freezes made my heart steady. "I can't change orders," she went on, "but I can file that there are conflicting family statements. That gives us cover to pause everything." I repeated her words slowly, memorizing them like scripture. Material conflict of interest, possible coercion, lack of informed consent. She nodded once. "Good. Use those exact phrases. They'll listen to calm authority, not emotion." We built quiet signals if she tucked a pen behind her left ear. Colin was near. If she mentioned the ice machine, I should step back and watch. I met her eyes. "You protect your license," I said. "I'll protect my daughter. We meet in the middle with paperwork." I walked to patient relations like a woman heading to pay taxes. Brisk, polite, all business. The receptionist asked. "Patient name?" I answered clearly. "Marielle Monroe Wyatt, ICU 216? My voice didn't tremble. "I need to file a statement," I continued. "I observed her spouse, Colin Drake Wyatt, signing a DNR this morning. I believe there's a financial incentive and prior coercion. I request an ethics consult and risk management review." The clerk blinked, surprised at my tone. Measured but firm, I handed her my printed notes, timestamps, photos of the station clock, my relationship to the patient. "I'm not accusing staff," I added, "just documenting what I saw." A case manager appeared within minutes, asking questions in corporate tones. I requested that the hospitalist and charge nurse be notified of a formal dispute, and that the current advance directive be copied for my review. "Tag the file," I said, "with conflicting directives until the consult concludes." She hesitated, then nodded. The printer spat out a stamped receipt, 8:23 a.m. I folded it neatly, took a picture, and sent it to my attorney's secure intake address. Years of school administration taught me this truth. When you can't win hearts, fill the file, heading back through the service corridor. I slowed at the sound of a familiar voice. A side door stood open, propped by a rubber wedge. Colin's tone carried through, smooth and businesslike. "Yes, once the DNR is honored, the policy triggers." He said, "No. She doesn't have her mother listed. I handled that." My spine stiffened. He paused, then added, "We need the quick payout. The house is upside down since the market dip. Just get the adjuster ready." Those words, "quick payout," landed like glass underfoot. I raised my phone and hit record, capturing his reflection in the window glass. Face turned 3/4 toward me. A transport cart rolled by, masking the soft click of my camera. He finished the call with, "The ethics thing is noise. I'll smooth it." Then he pocketed his phone, checked the hallway, and walked toward the elevators. I saved the file, whispered the corridor's marker number into the mic, and felt something inside me go still. I positioned myself near a water fountain at the corridor's end. Colin approached, jaw set. I stayed still, posture steady, hands folded. "There's an ethics consult on the chart," I said softly. "No, patient relations has my statement. The DNR is on hold." His smirk was thin. "You can't keep me from my right." I met his eyes. "I'm not keeping you from anything. I'm keeping our daughter from your shortcuts." He leaned in, voice sharp. "You can't prove a thing." I tapped my purse once. "You'd be surprised what hospitals record for quality assurance." For the first time, his face lost that smooth control. He muttered something about lawyers and stalked off. I didn't gloat. The goal was time, not triumph. I texted Zara one word, wedge. Seconds later, she replied with a single dot. Overhead, a voice echoed. Rapid response. ICU 216. The words hit me harder than any shove. My knees wanted to fold, but I forced them straight. I moved fast, but not frantic. Staff cleared a path as security stepped in front of Colin, asking him to wait while they verified access due to the documentation variance. I caught my breath as the monitor tones began to rise, sharp and urgent. Hold the line, baby, I whispered under my breath. I've got you. The sound of machines settled into rhythm again, steady, almost human. I stood at the foot of Mariel's bed, the smell of antiseptic sharp in the air. Patient stabilized, the charge nurse announced, voice calm but clipped. We're instituting consult holds due to a documented dispute. Her words floated through the sterile room like scripture. I thanked each person quietly, the respiratory therapist, the tech, the hospitalist, by role, not name. It kept things efficient, professional. Colin tried to push past security, waving his visitor badge, but the charge nurse recited policy number 5.04 on restricted access during active ethics review. His jaw locked. Mine didn't move. I took one photo, just Mariel's wristband time-stamped. No face, no emotion. Then I texted Zara. Steady? Her reply came a moment later. A single dot and the time. That tiny punctuation felt like oxygen. The ethics team arrived like a quiet storm, 3 people in professional grays, clipboards balanced like shields. The chair, a woman with silver hair and square glasses, introduced herself. Miss Monroe, I understand you filed a patient relations complaint? I nodded and handed her my printed receipt. I'm requesting review for material conflict of interest and potential coercion. The spouse signed a DNR under questionable circumstances. I watched her pen move. Zara appeared behind her, charting without eye contact. Nurse documentation reflects conflicting family statements, she said evenly. The hospitalist confirmed, no irreversible condition at present. The ethics chair looked around the room, then said, the DNR is suspended pending consult, no unilateral orders, no transfers, and spousal access supervised. Colin sputtered, you can't just... But she cut him cleanly. We can, and we will. I asked for a copy of the advance directive and proxy form. Wait, you'll receive both through patient relations within the hour, she said. Security stood firm as Colin was escorted toward the hallway for statement processing. The air felt lighter, like the storm had moved, but only to circle back later. Outside the ICU doors, the case manager printed a receipt for my dispute filing. I scanned it, backed it to the cloud, and emailed it to Miss Whitaker, our elder law attorney. As I waited for confirmation, my phone chimed with a voicemail notification I hadn't noticed before. Mariel's voice, faint but steady. Mom, he keeps pushing about that policy paperwork, says it's urgent for refinancing. If anything ever feels wrong, call Miss Whitaker, promise me. The timestamp read 2 weeks ago. My knees weakened, but my focus sharpened. I forwarded the file to my attorney, locked it as immutable, and noted the hash on paper. Chain of custody, I murmured, an old habit from years in administration. I told the ethics chair, I have a relevant voicemail, recorded prior to admission, naming legal counsel. She nodded. Provide it for review, but not here. Risk management added social work and legal to the afternoon session. We'll reconvene at 10, I said only. Thank you. My goal is clarity, not conflict. Near the ice machine alcove. Colin appeared again. You're making a spectacle, he hissed. I kept my stance square. I'm making a record, but... His smirk cracked. You think this saves her? I said softly. It saves her from you. He leaned closer, whispering. You have no proof. I met his eyes. You realize you just said that in a hospital covered by cameras. His nostrils flared. You're ridiculous. Maybe, I said, but ridiculous mothers save lives. He started to speak again, but security rounded the corner, and he backed off, muttering about lawyers. I texted Zara one word, fence. She answered. Seen. Minutes later, the ethics chair reappeared. Conference room B, Miss Monroe? The walk there felt longer than it was. Inside waited folders, policy binders, and a blinking recorder light. Legal sat across from me. social work at her side. Colin entered last, manila envelope in hand, that practice smile plastered on. I pressed my palm flat on the table. "Let's make this official," I said. The recorder light blinked red as he slid the envelope across. The red light on the recorder blinked twice before the ethics chair began. "This session is recorded. Identify yourselves by name and role." Her tone had no softness, just control. "Althea Monroe, mother and secondary contact," I said. Colin's voice followed, thin, defiant. The hospital's legal counsel added, "Please call out timestamps for each exhibit." I nodded. The seating felt deliberate. Ethics chair at the center. Legal and risk management flanking her. Zara quietly taking notes to my right. Colin sat across from me, shoulders hunched like a man preparing for a fight he thought he could still win. I placed my folder on the table, receipts, copies, every numbered form, and folded my hands. The chair reminded us, DNR remains paused. No clinical orders will change during this meeting, then added, any discussion of insurance or finance must directly relate to patient welfare. The air chilled by a degree. Colin opened his manila envelope with a practiced flick. He laid out 3 documents, a notarized healthcare agent confirmation, a printed insurance pre-authorization, and an unsigned rehab transfer request. "These are time-sensitive," he announced. "The insurer requires a decision by 5 o'clock. His words tasted rehearsed. I watched legal scan the pages, brow tightening. The notary seal bore a date 3 days before today's crisis, issued at their home, not the hospital. "So this was prepared before she coded?" I asked quietly. "We've been managing finances," he replied, defensively. Hospital legal pointed to a missing witness signature, then frowned at the insurer form. "This appears to be a broker draft, not a patient authorization." I leaned slightly forward. "Please read the notary seal into the record," I said. Colin hesitated, then mumbled the date. "Thank you. Now the address." The room's silence became its own verdict. Zara marked something on her tablet. The language on Colin's form didn't match the hospital's standard directive. He stared at her, but she didn't flinch. I opened my folder slowly, deliberate as a surgeon. "Exhibit A," I said, sliding my phone forward. "Voicemail from Marielle Monroe Wyatt, dated 2 weeks prior." I recited its hash. Timestamp and storage path. The ethics chair nodded for playback. My daughter's whisper filled the room. "He keeps pushing me about the policy paperwork. If anything feels wrong, call Miss Whitaker." Colin's jaw flexed, color draining from his face. I continued, calm as a metronome. "Exhibit B," I said, showing text screenshots where he used her same phrase this morning. "Policy trigger." "Exhibit C," I added, my patient relations receipt, clocked at 8:23 a.m., before the code, before the chaos. Legal leaned back, exhaling. "Pattern established," she said. "Non-clinical pressure influencing consent." I met her eyes. "I'm not here for a payout. I'm here for oxygen and honesty." The speakerphone buzzed. "Miss Whitaker joining," the ethics chair said. My attorney's voice came through steady as a metronome. "I hold a prior draft naming Miss Monroe as alternate decision-maker if the spouse demonstrates conflict of interest." A collective pause followed. She emailed a redacted copy to legal. "We'll need time to confirm the final version," she added. Zara summarized quietly. "No terminal diagnosis today. Patient stable. DNR clinically unjustified." Risk management murmured. "Social work and APS should be looped," the ethics chair nodded. "We'll document a material conflict. Procedural shield remains." Colin broke in, louder now. "You can't override me. I'm her husband," the chair replied. "Hierarchy does not override ethics." Legal outlined the interim plan. Maintain DNR suspension. Initiate Adult Protective Services consult and prepare a court-ready surrogate review, I added. No rehab transfer until authority is clarified. Agreement echoed around the table. Colin leaned forward, eyes hard. "You're costing us time and money," I said softly. "Then I'm paying the right price." A knock came at the door. Security stepped in. "There's someone in the lobby asking for Mr. Pike, Insurance Special Investigations." Colin froze. His phone lit up with a broker's name. The recorder's red light glowed steady as the badge appeared in the doorway. 2 investigators stepped into the room with clipped professionalism, their badges gleaming under fluorescent light. They introduced themselves from the Insurer Special Investigations Unit, stating the purpose, possible improper influence on care decisions tied to financial triggers. The ethics chair reminded everyone this was still a hospital proceeding and that SIU's questions would stay on record. Mr. Pike, one investigator began. This is voluntary. You may stop at any time. Colin's smile was forced, the kind men wear when they think charm can still buy them time. I requested a records hold on all pending transfer orders and insurance authorizations. Risk management confirmed it, locking digital access. IT security cued camera footage from the ICU hallway. The investigator nodded, saying flatly, "We discuss patient welfare first. Money comes after." The first question sliced with precision. "When was this notarized?" one asked, tapping the agent confirmation form Colin had produced earlier. "Last Friday," he muttered, "at home. We were just preparing." "Preparing for what?" the second pressed. He stumbled, claiming Marielle wanted streamlined decisions. Then he used the same phrase that had haunted me for days. "Policy trigger." The investigator caught it too. "Where did you hear that term?" Colin hesitated, then said, "From the broker handling our claim." His phone buzzed on the table, and the SIU officer leaned forward. "That broker? Was he the same one who texted you this morning?" Colin's throat moved once. No sound coming out. The ethics chair asked the question that landed hardest. "How does a payout structure improve Marielle's care today?" Colin fumbled. The room's silence stretched until even the recorder seemed to hum louder. I opened my folder. "Exhibit D," I said evenly. It was a printed email chain between Colin and that same broker, referencing a Tier A rebate and expedited policy unlock if rehab choice confirmed within 48 hours. The investigator's pen froze mid-note. I handed over a second page. "Exhibit E," I added. My bank alert showing Collins LLC had received a $1,099 NEC payment from the broker's agency last quarter. My attorney, still on the phone line, explained calmly, "Such payments can nullify spousal consent under Georgia statute." Collins' mouth opened, but no words came. SIU marked the document, labeling it potential inducement. I leaned back and said, "You can measure care in minutes. You can measure money any time. Today, she breathes first." Zara stood from her corner, tablet in hand. "I have corroboration," she said quietly. She played an audio clip from the ICU corridor. Colin's voice. Unmistakable. "If we hit the policy trigger, rehab locks in." It matched the timestamp to his badge scan. The same minute. A nurse had found Marielle's DNR band misread with no valid order in the chart. The charge nurse's affidavit confirmed it. Patient remained full code. Ethics labeled it plainly. Material coercion risk. APS was called in. Case management froze all spousal-initiated discharges. Colin exploded, calling it a witch hunt, but the investigator only said, "Unlock your phone, please." He did. Fingers trembling. The ethics chair read the interim ruling. Supervised access only. All medical decisions through attending and liaison. No discharge planning without neutral conference. My attorney promised an emergency petition to reinstate the prior directive, I added. Send every note to APS and SIU. No papers disappear this time. Then came the knock. Security again. Voice low. "Bank liaison on the line. Safe deposit access logged this morning under Mr. Pike's key." My attorney inhaled sharply. "That's where Marielle's signed directive may be." Colin froze, color draining. The recorder's red light stayed steady, watching him the way I had all along. The bank lobby smelled faintly of disinfectant and brass polish, a kind of sterile history. I signed the visitor log as Miss. Whitaker handed over an emergency petition to the vault manager. "Supervised access. Full body cam record," she specified. The manager nodded. Reading the court stamp, Colin hovered nearby, jaw tight, pretending calm. "I'm the renter," he kept repeating. The clerk confirmed co-renter privileges allowed my presence due to the pending guardianship motion. I exhaled slowly. The vault corridor was cool, humming faintly like a refrigerator full of ghosts. No photography inside, the manager warned. Copies only at compliance desk. I nodded. We just want the truth, not souvenirs. Miss Whitaker dictated the log. A time. Box number. Reason. Healthcare Authority verification. We all signed, Colin muttered. This is madness. I met his eyes. No, it's documentation. Inside the box, old envelopes slept under a blue binder labeled Marielle, Health and Legal. My throat closed when I saw my own handwriting from years ago. Miss Whitaker slipped on gloves, opening the binder like a surgeon. The first page, a notarized advance directive naming me, Althea Monroe, as Marielle's healthcare agent. The second, a medical power of attorney with the same notary stamp, 2 witnesses, and a clause forbidding spousal override without formal revocation. The third was a folded letter. Mom, in Marielle's looped handwriting. If I can't speak, you speak for me. The ink trembled, just like my breath. Colin reached across the table. She changed it. Miss Whitaker's tone sharpened. Then where's the filed revocation? This one meets statute. She held both documents side by side. His was missing witnesses, notarized at his kitchen table. The compliance officer confirmed the genuine seal online and certified copies on the spot. I steadied my shaking hands. Marielle planned for this noise, I said. She made quiet law. By the time we returned to the hospital, the sun had shifted, casting long stripes across the conference room. Colin was already spinning. Those papers were templates, he insisted. Hospital legal didn't blink. Statute honors the most recent valid notarized directive. The one you produced is invalid. WSIU officers added that his emails and bank records suggested coercion. Any change made under financial inducement, they said, is null until verified independently. I stood with my back straight. Her treatment stays, no transfers. Zara was beside me. Calm as a heartbeat. Patient stable. Full code, she said. Colin's voice dropped to a hiss. You're isolating me, I answered. I'm insulating her. Within an hour, a judge appeared on WebEx. Miss Whitaker shared the certified pages, the bank affidavit still visible at the corner of the screen. Do we proceed without spousal consent? The judge asked. Yes, Your Honor, replied Hospital Legal. Agent Monroe has statutory authority. The ruling came quick. Temporary affirmation of my POA. Colin's authority suspended. Notices went out instantly. Security, case management, the rehab vendors vanished from the calendar. I returned to Marielle's room, touched her hand, whispering, You picked your voice well, baby. Zara adjusted the monitor, smiling faintly. Then fallout began. The broker's office emailed a suspension notice. SIU froze Colin's accounts and requested his phone. APS opened a protective case. I sat with a social worker, transcribing Marielle's wishes into the record. No out-of-network transfers. Full neurological follow-up. Vindication didn't feel like victory. It felt procedural. Tidy. Necessary. Later, in the family lounge, I reread Marielle's letter. If it ever gets noisy, you be the quiet. I smiled through the ache. Zara brought decaf. Vitals steady, she said softly. I answered, Small mercies count. Just before sunset, a new email arrived. Colin's lawyer had sent a revocation, notarized by that same home notary. Miss Whitaker compared seals. The commission date didn't exist in state records. Metadata showed it created 34 minutes after our vault visit. I looked up from the printout. Voice calm as glass. Run it. If it's forged. We don't argue. We prosecute. Down the hall, a copier hummed, spitting fresh paper into the air. The revocation already smelled like fear. The courthouse smelled faintly of lemon polish and nerves. Miss Whitaker straightened my collar before we stepped inside. Answer clean, she said quietly. Facts only, no color. We sat at the petitioner's table, papers squared in a blue binder. Bank affidavit, notarized POA, metadata report, registry printout. Each page represented a breath I'd held for months. I practiced one line under my breath. Marielle chose me. I am acting within the law and within love. Across the aisle. Colin avoided my eyes, his lawyer whispering strategy into his shoulder. The bailiff called our case first. My knees didn't tremble. They remembered too much Sunday school steel for that. Hospital legal opened with policy and statute. Miss Whitaker built the wall brick by brick. Missing witnesses. Expired notary seal. Creation timestamp. The SIU analyst took the stand, calm as a machine, reading the IP address tied to Collins' office. Then the notary clerk appeared on video. Commission number doesn't exist for that date. The judge looked over his glasses. Mr. Pike, any explanation? His silence filled the room, heavier than any confession. When he finally spoke, it was a whisper. I just wanted to help her. The judge tapped his pen. Help isn't forged, sir. It's signed. He turned to me. Miss Monroe, are you pursuing any gain? No, Your Honor, only her care. As she directed, the gavel came down once. Clean as mercy. The revocation was void, a protective order issued on the spot. By noon, the electronic order reached the hospital. The chart banner flashed red, disputed documents void. Agent of record Althea Monroe. Security rescanned access cards. Collins turned yellow. Limited to escorted visits. APS upgraded the case. A senior investigator requested my notes from the vault visit. The state insurance department faxed a notice suspending the broker's license. His voicemail auto-reply already said on leave. Zara texted from the ward. Order logged. Stable vitals. I replied with a thumbs-up emoji. The modern shorthand for, we keep going. Outside the ICU. Colin waited. Face drawn tight. 5 minutes alone, Atihi demanded. Not without supervision, I answered. That door closed when you picked up a rubber stamp. His jaw twitched. You turned everyone against me. No, I said evenly. You did when you turned against her? The mediator offered a brief, supervised moment. He refused, muttering about lawyers. I handed him an envelope. Printed boundaries, no money talk, no provider changes, no social media about Mariel. He scoffed but pocketed it anyway. Revenge didn't interest me anymore. Documentation did. Paper keeps people honest. Inside the ICU, the hum of machines felt almost gentle. I read Mariel's letter aloud. If it gets noisy, you be the quiet. Her pulse flickered steady, her fingers warm under mine. Your words held, I told her. Your voice won. Zara adjusted the blinds, sunlight cutting soft stripes across the floor. Small mercies count, she murmured. I nodded. They always did. I signed the ethics note. Agent instructs to prioritize dignity and consent, and asked the chaplain for a visit. Sometimes Faith wears a lab coat. By late afternoon, the judge's findings were published. Prior POA controlling, revocation fraudulent, protective order extended. Referrals went to the district attorney, insurance enforcement, and the notary board. Miss Whitaker gathered her files. We can pursue damages if you choose. I smiled faintly. Care first, lawsuit later. The hallway echoed as we left. Quiet victory sounds different from joy. It's steadier. At sunset, I sat on my porch. Georgia light fading gold over the marsh. I built a new binder labeled Mariel Trust, placing certified copies, care plan, and her letter on top. A sticky note in my handwriting read, Already chose. I called my sister to set up meal rotations for the night staff. Gratitude made practical. Then I left a voicemail for the notary board investigator. Happy to testify. Paper trails matter because people matter. My phone buzzed with a text from Zara. We stand with the patient, I whispered back into the wind. And we stand clean. The horizon burned down to one thin line when my phone lit again. District Attorney's office. Miss Monroe, the voice said, calm but sharp. We'd like your help mapping a wider referral scheme. Can you come in tomorrow? I looked toward the hospital lights flickering through the live oaks and answered, Yes, it's time this quiet went further. The courthouse lights dim, and the binder on my lap vibrates with a new message. District Attorney, meeting moved to 8 a.m. I glanced toward the hospital window glowing in the distance. The truth's web is bigger than I thought. Who else knew? And what will happen when the next name surfaces?